What's up, everybody? I'm Adam McDormand, and this is Medium Quality. Okay, if you've been watching for the past couple of weeks, you know that I'm working my way through my vinyl discography of Thrice. You're probably expecting me to pull out a vinyl copy of the Alchemy Index right now. Oh yeah, here it is. Sorry, but no. The Alchemy Index was very limited in its first pressing, and it goes for like $400 on the internet right now, and I'm gonna hold out for a repress. So I'm gonna skip to their next album, Beggars. Beggars was originally released in 2009, and it's kind of difficult to discuss Beggars without having discussed the Alchemy Index before it, because the Alchemy Index was a very massive creative undertaking for Thrice. They were really pushing themselves to experiment both musically and conceptually, creating sounds around the four elements: fire, water, air, earth. And for the most part, they were really successful at crafting music that evoked those elements. Coming off of a project like that, you would expect them to try to up the ante with Beggars, and they kind of sidestepped that whole thing here. This album is much more personal, much more heartfelt. Creatively, they're at their sharpest. They've honed the elements of experimentation that were present in the Alchemy Index to a razor edge, and the songs, they sound great. They're interesting. They're heavy, but they're melodic and dynamic. This album is really, really good. Lyrically, it's like a mirror to society. It's Dustin talking about what he sees around him. With a song like All the World is Mad, he's kicking off the album saying, the world is a dark place. It's hard to find the good stuff. And then he steps from there into a song called The Weight, which is about how lightly we take the concept of love and how we disrespect the concept of marriage, which is something we'll talk about very soon. Circles, a song that is about our obsession with progress and how really we're just walking in circles most of the time. Doublespeak, a song about how the idea of the truth that we are presented may or may not be the truth for real. And I've only talked about the A side. You know, the B side of this album is just as good, culminating with the title track, Beggars, which starts out very slow and builds into this huge crescendo, talking about how we are beggars searching for something. We know what Dustin Kensrue's idea of something is. It's us begging for righteousness or sanctification through Christ, which, you know, I'm on board with that. You may not be, but that doesn't make these songs any less awesome. So this particular pressing is not an original 2009 pressing. This is from the 2014 repress, and it's on clear vinyl with this beautiful red splatter. It's absolutely gorgeous, and only fitting for an album that is as masterfully done as this one is. Also included in the package is this book, which is really interesting. I was looking at it today. It's got these amazing full-color photographs inside, and explanations from each of the band members as to what these songs are about and the recording process. It's really an interesting look at the creative and conceptual foundational ideas that make these songs so interesting. Beggars is Thrice at their very best. If I had to pick one album of Thrice that I would say is my favorite, it's Beggars. Beggars is my favorite Thrice album. It's so good. You may not be able to find a copy on vinyl for a reasonable price, but do yourself a favor. Either buy it digitally or buy a CD. This album is so good and so worth your time. So do it. Get it? Thank you for watching. This has been the A-Side. So on the B-side this week, I want to bring up a topic that I've been wanting to discuss for a very long time. Marriage. Obviously, I'm an expert on this topic because I've read one book and probably a couple dozen relevant magazine articles on the subject of relationships. So my analysis is pretty thorough. Why in the world do people make the decision to get married? I think there are a number of obvious reasons: wanting to be happy, wanting to have sex, financial benefits, societal expectation, the big nasty wedding ceremony that's become this giant spectacle that people dream about their entire lives. Now, I don't think any of those things are inherently wrong. The problem is that they are good things that have become massive foundational things, the things that we build our marriages upon. Think about this. A person decides to get married because they believe that person will make them happy. And inevitably, that person fails to measure up in some way at some point in time, and there's a desire to leave. So if your marriage has outlived the happiness that you expected it to provide you, there are ways that you can get out of that. And the more I've thought about it over the past couple of years, the more I've come to realize that our concept of the purpose of marriage is completely wrong. Under no circumstances is it fair for us to place on someone else the expectation of our happiness. That's insane. And if you think that's what the purpose of marriage is, then chances are your marriage is going to be a very large disappointment to you. So that begs the question, what is the purpose then? I would argue that marriage at its core is a spiritual construct. It is this deep longing for two people to come together and become better versions of themselves through the process. So, what's the takeaway from this idea? Well, first of all, don't go into any of your relationships placing the expectation of your happiness on another person. That's not fair to them, and you're going to be disappointed by it in the end. So don't do it. If you decide to get married, or if you're already married, remind yourself daily that the purpose of your union is to better yourself. And that's not always easy, that's not always comfortable. That requires you to be selfless and serve your partner, and your happiness is secondary. I can guarantee you that if you orient yourself toward the service of another person in your marriage, that you will have happiness as a side effect of that, as an awesome byproduct. But that's not the number one goal. And since I'm an expert, I hope that when I actually do get married, that I remember these things and that they turn out to be beneficial for me, and that I, in the service of my wife, will become a better and more complete man. A couple of things that you can do to help keep the show going. Number one, visit the Facebook page at facebook.com/mediumq. Give us a like. Also, visit mediumq.com. That is the website that I've been working on. I'll post the videos there. I also write decently written articles about mostly video games, but music and movies and other things as well. And last but not least, please subscribe to the channel. If you're enjoying it, hit the subscribe button, share it with someone else. I would love for for 2015 to be the year that I get to 100 subscribers. That's a lofty goal. If not, I'll keep doing this, but whatever. Until next time, thank you for watching. Peace out.